changing jobs? Know your 401k options. If you're changing jobs or you've lost your job, you may be wondering what to do with your 401k plan account. It is important to understand your options. What will I be entitled to? If you leave your job voluntarily or involuntarily, you'll be entitled to a distribution of your vested balance. Your vested balance always includes your own contributions, pre-tax, after-tax, and Roth, and typically any investment earnings on those amounts. It also includes employer contributions and earnings that have satisfied your plan's vesting schedule. Cliff vesting. In general, you must be 100% vested in your employer's contributions after 3 years of service, or you must vest gradually 20% per year until you're fully vested after 6 years. Graded vesting. Plans can have faster vesting schedules, and some even have 100% immediate vesting. You'll also be 100% vested once you reach your plan's normal retirement age. It is important for you to understand how your particular plan vesting schedule works, because you'll forfeit any employer contribution that haven't vested by the time you leave your job. Your summary plan description will spell out how the vesting schedule for your particular plan works. If you don't have one, ask your plan administrator for it. If you are on the cusp of vesting, it may make sense to wait a bit before leaving if you have that luxury. While the pool of dollars may look attractive, don't spend it unless you absolutely need to. If you take a distribution, you'll be taxed at ordinary income tax rates on the entire value of your account, except for any after-tax or Roth 401k contributions you've made. If you're not yet age 55, an additional 10% penalty may apply to the taxable portion of your payout. Special rules may apply if you receive a lump sum distribution and you were born before 1936, or if the lump sum includes employer stock. If your vested balance is more than $5,000, you can leave your money in your employer's plan at least until you reach the plan's normal retirement age, typically age 65. But your employer must also allow you to make a direct rollover to an IRA or another employer's 401k plan. As the name suggests, in direct rollover, the money passes directly from your 401k plan account to the IRA or other plan. This is preferable to a 60-day rollover where you get the check and then roll the money over yourself, because your employer has to withhold 20% of the taxable portion of a 60-day rollover. You can still roll over the entire amount of your distribution, but you need to come up with the 20% that has been withheld until you recapture that amount when you file your income tax return. In some cases, you have no choice. You need to use the funds. If so, try to minimize the tax impact. For example, if you have a non-taxable after-tax contribution in your account, keep in mind that you can roll over just the taxable portion of your distribution and keep the non-taxable portion for yourself. Should I roll over to my new employer's 401k plan or to an IRA? Assuming both options are available to you, there is no right or wrong answer to this question. There are strong arguments to be made on both sides. You need to weigh all the factors and make a decision based on your own needs and priorities. It is best to have a professional assist you with this, since the decision you make may have significant consequences both now and in the future. Reasons to consider rolling over to an IRA. You generally have more investment choices with an IRA than an employer 401k plan. You typically may freely move your money around to the various investments offered by your IRA trustee, and you may divide your balance among as many of those investments as you want. By contrast, employer-sponsored plans generally offer a limited menu of investments, usually mutual funds, from which to choose from. You can freely allocate your IRA dollars among different IRA trustees or custodians. There is no limit on how many direct trustees to trustee IRA transfers you can do in a year. This gives you flexibility to change trustees often if you're dissatisfied with investment performance or customer service. It can also allow you to have IRA accounts with more than one institution for added diversification. With an employer's plan, you can move the funds to a different trustee unless you leave your job and roll over the funds. An IRA may give you more flexibility with distributions. Your distribution option in a 401k plan depend on the terms of the particular plan, and your options may be limited. However, with an IRA, the timing and the amount of distribution is generally at your discretion until you reach age 72 and must start taking required minimum distributions in the case of a traditional IRA. You can roll over, essentially convert your 401k plan distribution to a Roth IRA. You will generally have to pay taxes on the amount you roll over, minus any after-tax contributions you've made. But any qualified distributions from the Roth IRA in the future will be tax-free. Reasons to either consider rolling over to your new employer 401k plan or stay in your current plan. Many employer-sponsored plans have loan provisions. If you roll over your retirement funds to a new employer's plan that permits loans, you may be able to borrow up to 50% of the amount you roll over if you need the money. You cannot borrow money from an IRA. You can only access the money in an IRA by taking distributions, which may be subject to income tax and penalties. You can give yourself a short-term loan from an IRA by taking distribution and then rolling the dollars back to an IRA within 60 days. However, this move is permitted only once in any 12-month time period. Employer retirement plans generally provide greater creditor protection than an IRA. Most 401k plans receive unlimited protection from your creditors under federal law. Your creditors, with certain exceptions, cannot attach your plan funds to satisfy any of your debts and obligations, regardless of whether you've declared bankruptcy. In contrast, any amount you roll over to a traditional or Roth IRA are generally protected under the federal law only if you declare bankruptcy. Any creditor protection your IRA may receive in cases outside bankruptcy will generally depend on the laws of your particular state. If you're concerned about asset protection, request to have a conversation with us, and we will help you with that. You may be able to postpone required minimum distribution for traditional IRAs. These distributions must begin by April 1st following the year you reach age 72. However, if you are past that age and are still participating in your employer's 401k plan, you can delay your first distribution from that plan until April 1st following the year of your retirement. You must also own no more than 5% of the company. If your distribution includes Roth 401k contributions and earnings, you can roll these amounts over to either a Roth IRA or your new employer's Roth 401k plan. If you roll the funds over to a Roth IRA, the Roth IRA holding period will determine when you can begin receiving tax-free qualified distributions from the IRA. So if you're establishing a Roth IRA for the first time, your Roth 401k dollars will be subject to a brand new 5-year holding period. On the other hand, if you roll the dollars over to your new employer's Roth 401k plan, your existing 5-year holding period will carry over to the new plan. This may enable you to receive tax-free qualified distributions sooner. When evaluating whether to initiate a rollover, always be sure to 1. Ask about possible surrender charges that may be imposed by an employer plan, or new surrender charges that your IRA may impose. 2. Compare investment fees and expenses charged by your IRA and investment funds with those charged by your employer plan, if any. And 3. Understand any accumulated rights or guarantees that you may be giving up by transferring funds out of your employer plan. What about outstanding plan loans? In general, if you have an outstanding plan loan, you'll need to pay it back, or the outstanding balance will be taxed as if it had been distributed to you in cash. If you can't pay the loan back before you leave, you'll still have 60 days to roll over the amount that's been treated as a distribution to your IRA. Of course, you'll need to come up with the dollars from other sources. If you want to learn more about rollover options, we have a webinar on 6 rollover options and its pros and cons. Many mistakenly think that a rollover is an easy choice, but that's rarely the case. Depending on your particular situation, you might have up to 6 different options to choose from. The webinar also sheds some of the light on some common mistakes so that hopefully you can avoid them. The link to the webinar is in the description. See you there.